Profile in Spring Boot apps. Session 14. Profiles in Spring Boot. Both Spring Boot support profiles. We work with profile while developing Spring apps using a XML driven configuration, XML plus annotation driven configuration, and 100% code driven configuration and Spring Boot. The setup required to execute the application is called environment. The environment includes compiled code plus database software plus soft server plus data source plus JRE, JVM and etc. Note, this environment is also called as profile. These are these are like Netflix, Amazon Prime profile, which keeps track of various activities of user like movie watching history, watch list, recommendeds and etc. As part of project development to project production, we need different environments or profile, um, like a profile environment of development, profile environment of for testing, profile environment for UAT testing at client organization, profile environment for production, UAT user aspect expects test expect expectance expectance user expectance test. Project 1 dev pros 01 code MySQL database software Tomcat server Apache DBCP2. Project 1 testing pros 1 code MySQL database software Tomcat server C3PODS, and this is at software company Wipro Hyderabad. It can be done using local setup or cloud setup AWS, Azure, GCP. After release, Project 1 UAT user acceptance test. Okay, Project 1 code Oracle database, Tomcat server and Oracle UCP. After that, Project prod. Project 1 code Oracle database, Wildfly server Hikari CP. And this is at client organization CITI Bank USA. User local setup or cloud setup AWS, Azure, GCP. Note, number of profile are not fixed. There can be multiple like dev, test, UAT, pre, prod and etc. Generally we take 4 standard profile: dev development, UAT user acceptance test, prod production. In real practice, we take separate machine for every profile environment, every profile oblique environment. The physical machine, local setup or virtual machine, cloud setup of dev profile will be connected with developer, and the physical machine local setup or virtual machine cloud setup of testing profile will be connected with tester. The physical machine virtual machine of UAT profile will be connected with the UAT tester, and physical machine virtual machine prod profile will be connected with client organization and user employees and project maintenance team. In Spring Boot project app, we can create different properties file, YAML file for different profiles, and we can active specific profile each time using application.profile properties and YAML file, or using system properties. So application.properties is best, YAML also best. So JDBC properties, data source type, DAO classes, servers, server pods, and etc. will change profile profile to profile, where as service, class, controller, classes, and etcs are some in all profile must of cases. So application hyphen dev dot properties or YAML, application dot test, UAT and prod. So profile specific into info, application dot properties YAML. This is required to activate each profile. Through there are multiple properties fields YAML files. We need to not configure them the custom properties files or YAML file using @properties source as long as we follow the name convention application profile name dot properties YAML. Note: in YAML we can place multiple profile information in single YAML file by separating the profile with dash dash dash. Note: taking name like dev hyphen application dot properties or YAML is invalid. The only allow application dash profile dot properties and YAML file. We can activate each profile by using one of the two way. A, using application dot properties or YAML file, and this is best. Spring dot profile dot active equals to dev for properties file, or spring hyphen profile spring colon profile colon active colon dev for YAML file. Also B, using system property, not recommended, but dispring hyphen d spring dot profile dot active equals to dev. Note: should be given in Eclipse IDE as VM arguments using run configuration. User hyphen define system properties are alternate to command line argument. Note: if the specific active profile related uh, properties or YAML file is not available, then it is taken application.properties or YAML file into as default fallback information. To make stereotype annotation based Spring Bean class, Java class working for certain profiles, we need to place @profile and name on the top of Spring Bean. So @property ORA EMPDAO @profile UAT and prod. Public class Oracle employee DAO implements IO implements I employ DAO and logic or query or connection. And another repository MS EMPDAO. MySQL, and this is Oracle. So in MySQL profile dev or test. Public class MySQL employed implements I employ DAO and query logic. So the object of Spring Bean class will be created only when the profile is activated. So to make @bean method generate Spring Bean belonging to certain profile, we can add @profile on the top of @bean method in @configuration class. @bean name equals to c3pods @profile test public data source create c3pods and return logic. So note: if no profile profile is placed on the top of stereotype annotation based Spring Bean or Bean method, then that Spring Bean work for all properties. Generally, we do this service controller classes. Conclusion: to keep auto configuration into input using common properties specific to certain profile, then keep those common properties into of info of auto configuration in application profile name dot properties or YAML file. Profile specific profile file And to keep user-defined Java classes as Spring Bean in certain profile, then place @profile with profile name on the top of user-defined Spring classes definition, DUA class. To keep the predef- predefined Java classes as a Spring Bean in the certain profile, then place @profile with the profile name on the top of @bean method where that Spring Bean is defined. Data source Spring Bean configuration. Please. So after that example app project 1 dev project 1 MySQL database Apache DBCP2 project 1, okay, same project MySQL database software and C3PO. These are testing on Oracle and after release Oracle UCP and Hikari CP, Oracle DB and okay. So these are testing MySQL and these are using Oracle. In Spring Boot app, we can work with any standalone data source and it is JDBC connection pool by doing the following operation. It add that data source jar file to class path using pom.xml dependency. B specific that data source related class name in application.properties or YAML file using the key spring data source dot type spring dot data source dot type. So data source tomcat cp apache dbcp and c3po jar file tomcat hyphen jdbc var dot jar common dbcp2 var dot jar c3po var dot jar data source class name is org apache commons tomcat and v2c3po. So these are class name data source. First step, keep the mini project ready to add the profile. Step 2, make sure that you have taken two different DAO class, first for Oracle DB logics, second for MySQL database logic. Step 3, empty the application.properties file for the name being and step 4, add multiple application profile.properties file or for multiple profile or environments on one pre one per profile environment basic. So this is source main src main source based properties file profile specific properties files and this is profile specific properties files and in the application dev dot properties having this is JDBC properties and this is a specific to or specify the data source type. Spring dot data source type is org dot apache common dot dbcp2 dot basic data structure. Class name data source class name dbcp2 and another side application test properties jdbc properties mysql c3po mean size 10 max size 100 specific the data source type is com mchange v2 c3po combo pooled data source. Another application hyphen uat dot properties jdbc properties and oracle jdbc oracle system tiger max size 100 min size 10 and connection with timeout 10k, okay, 1000k. Specify the data source type oracle ucp jdbc pool data source implement an application hyphen prod dot properties and jdbc properties oracle data jdbc and that's it. Prod node in using hikari cp I think, so that's why is a not mentioned here data source type. Step 4, Make sure that Hikari CP, Apache DBCP2, Oracle UCP, C3PO, MySQL database driver, or Oracle Theme JDBC driver jar file are added to class path in pom.xml dependency MySQL contact, contactor contact or J runtime MySQL JDBC driver and Tomcat CP dependency Tomcat JDBC Apache DBCP2 Commons JDBC DBCP2 and Oracle UCP and C3PO. So these are dependency are paste in the pom.xml. Oracle JDBC driver dependency group ID and OJDBC8. Step 5. Make sure that C3PO data source is created as the Spring Bean using @bean method in SBA @SBA Spring Boot application class. Optional to do in main class. Note: doing this optional if C3PO related combo pooled data source class is configured as the data source type in application test properties file. So not purely option, so not required. Optional here. Okay, step 6. Keep @profile annotation in the following place. A MySQL DOA class should execute in dev test environment, so add profile dev and test on the top of MySQL DOA implementation class like @properties, @repository, emp DOA MySQL and @profile dev and test, and this is MySQL class implement and this is logic and query and interfaces method. So B make Oracle DOA class belong UAT prod profile. So add profile UAT prod on the top of Oracle implement class. So at that repository emp DOA Oracle and profile is UAT prod and Oracle employee DOA class having all queries and methods. So keep the Bing method base combo pool data source object C3PO working only test profile using profile test on the top of its @bean method not required in Spring Boot 3.x. So no required in a Spring Boot, not required, optional. This is optional. Step 7. Active Activate specific profile from the application.properties file. Application.properties. So active the profile spring.profile.active equals to dev. If I write here dev, then dev is active. If I write here test is active, UAT active. We can activate one profile at a time. After that, step 8, run the application. If one target class is having multiple possible dependent to inject, then how can we inject a specific dependent of our choice without disturbing the source code of application or project? Loose coupling is required here. It can be two ways: using bean alias and @qualifier. This demands the Spring Bean configure file XML utilization, so not recommended. Old style. B using factory, also old style, and using Spring Boot profile is a best and recommended. So use profile best and recommended. How can we see that activate profile while running the Spring Boot project? In the log message of the project, n string starting, this is project name, and n the following one profile is activate test, or using the environment object get environment object environment env equals to ctx.get environment system.println active profile arrays to string env.get active profile. Note: the IOC container create environment object holds property YAML file content system properties environment variable Values profile information. How to remove block commenting in Eclipse IDE. Window menu preference, search for formatting, select code format, new, name N1, expand command and commands, and deselect and apply and close. Enable block command formatting. Okay, so this is all about profile in Spring Boot. No need to this, not required. No need to bean method or something, not required in Spring Boot 3.x. So this is profile in Spring Boot.